All right. Welcome, everyone. My name is Gavin Mehl. Today is Friday, December 4th, 2015. This is the Gavin Mehl Global Mastermind call. And I'm going to shoot this live on Periscope and Google Hangout, syndicate it out across YouTube and the internet, leave a massive footprint. But welcome, everyone. I want to just do a brief introduction here today. I'm so honored and humbly grateful to be here today as your host. My name is Gavin Mehl. It's actually week 22 of these calls, week number 5 of the calls since we've had a new name of Gavin Mehl Global Mastermind call. Today's Friday, December 4th. And I want to talk today about, the point of the call today is going to be about, is success genetic? Is success genetic? Some amazing stories here. I'm going to syndicate this out on Periscope and put the recording up on Catch Me and also up on YouTube as well. So if you're watching live or watching later, welcome. So thank you so much for everyone for listening in live and also on the recording. Give me so much encouragement and just watching the videos I've been putting out. I appreciate your fuel in the fire. The more you comment, like, subscribe, share, that's all I'm looking to do is just build, value to help inspire you and something different that is not, that everyone else isn't doing. I want to just help point people in the right direction. There's no link for you to join. There's nothing for you to buy on these calls. It's nothing like that. Really, it's just going to be a breath of fresh air. Something that's going to add value to your life. From all of the studying, all the research, all the mind training I've been doing for the last 10 years. It's all just built up into this culmination, this powerful mastermind. And not just me, but also the people behind the scenes. But I want to start with a brief introduction. My name is Gavin Mehl. I am in Sacramento, California. And originally I've been a business owner for the last 10 years, working online full-time for the last 7 years. My business originally had tremendous success with it. Well, first of all, I was the number one in sales at a large company of 10,000 people. So kind of an interesting story. I came into this company really cocky out of college. I could say cocky now because I was humbled, but really cocky out of college, told the guy I was going to be the number one in the company. And I ended up becoming number one out of 10,000 people. 10,000 people in sales, I was number one in the entire company. Set a bunch of records. And this went on for about 2 straight years. It was, became a household name. You could really read a lot of the stuff people said about me on LinkedIn, humbly saying that, my name basically became a household name because it was such a big company and I was number one for so long. So it allowed me to start a business at a young age and acquire enough resources to start a big business. Had an office downtown, high-rise office building, had every 100 plus people at times in the office as staff, and we were crushing it. Then the financial crisis came and pretty much wiped everyone out. Without me having known anything. I was fortunate enough. I had enough expenses. I did do well, and I got the American Express Black Card, and that just kind of made me even more confident and cocky at times. And so I think God humbled me and said, "Hey, dude, it's time for you to settle down and close that business down. Completely wiped everything out there." So started working online for the last 7 years now, full time. And really had a breakthrough online. It's been tremendous. And so I just want to just add value to others and show, in basically encourage people that there is hope out there and that there is such a person out there. Kind of tell my story because I know this is going to be seen in the future many, many times. And just kind of tell you a story as to where I come from, who I am, what it's all about, and what the purpose of a mastermind is. The mastermind, there's two minds are a lot more powerful than one, and we have that going on now, and it's actually a lot bigger than that. It's a global mastermind. So first, let me start with something light. I want to talk about something light a little bit as to what, just to like to start with this story. I'm going to turn the camera around on the Periscope as well. Okay, so for those who don't know, I come from Sacramento. I was fortunate enough to be Delta Chi at Sac State. And Delta Chi, you can see the thing behind me there. You may be able to see it. Delta Chi. Anyhow, Delta Chi, it's a fraternity at Sac State, and I was credit to John Pearson for encouraging me to go rush, because when I started at Sac State, I didn't know anyone. I was a baseball player, groomed to be a professional baseball player. That was my whole life. And then I ended up getting injured. But all excuses aside, I wasn't good enough to make the MLB. I really wasn't. I mean, that's just, I'll be honest, okay? But I had hoped to. But I was injured, so I stopped playing. I went and I rushed to fraternity. This fraternity, I ended up meeting a guy called Sean Malone. Okay, so Sean ended up being my big bro. And for those who aren't from California, you may have that surfer guy. What was that movie? Dazed and Confused. That's kind of how Sean was. And so everybody loved this guy. He was the guy that, he would encourage people to come into the fraternity and rush. And Sean, he convinced me to rush. I was looking at all these different chapters, and he was so cool. He was so laid back about it. He was so just chill that I was like, I'm going to go rush this Delta Chi. And, Sean was the type of guy that he, living in the dorms, the cops could come to the dorms. He could be drinking beer inside his dorm room, underage, and talk his way out of it. I mean, there were so many stories about Sean talking his way out of things. It was just unbelievable. I mean, this guy, everybody loved him. I mean, I'll never forget one story. This isn't the story I want to make. One story. We're driving. I'm a pledge. They take us back in the dorms. And they put me in the back of one of this Lincoln Town car he had. He called it the bomb. This long Lincoln Town car. He put me in the back with a guy called John Fuhrer in the front seat. And I'm in the back, and they tied me up, but they threw me in there. They're going to go take me somewhere. And I get in the car, and I'm kind of an innocent, underage, didn't really have a lot of life experience yet. And these guys had beer cans and empty bottles all over the back seat. And I'm thinking, is this legal? I didn't say anything because as a pledge, you don't speak up. And I'm like, they're drinking in the car. And I'm like, this is the first time I'd ever experienced this. I'm like, dude, what's going on? No care in the world at all. I hope Sean doesn't mind me saying he doesn't care now. He's successfully saying this is a long time ago, but times have changed. So my point is the story about Sean. Everybody loved this guy, right? He's from Burlingame, good family, good student, could do no wrong. I mean, all these crazy things he did, he always got away. I think he got pulled over for DUI so many times and never got one at these times, all through college. I mean, all this time. So he had so many good qualities, but he had one quality, I'd almost say bad quality. He would forget things, all right? He would forget things sometimes. And there's a point to this story. So Sean was the type of guy, if he had money, he would give it to you. He was generous. He was always there for people. He was a great friend. But for whatever reason, this is just something strange about him. Whatever reason, he would run out of gas in his car. And he had one of these long Lincoln Town car, kind of Crown Victoria type of cars. And he would go out and go places. And this is a true story. He would run out of gas. Not once, not twice, not 3 times, but every single month. He would have money, but he would forget to put gas in the car. I'd never known anyone like this. Who does this? He would literally forget to put gas in the car. So it's a lot about life. And it's an important story because it's funny now. We look back, he didn't put gas in his car, but it's a lot about life. Sometimes we're working, we're grinding. We're just on the hamster wheel. And we forget to take time to stop and breathe and put the good, the clean, the powerful, the positive back into our life. I mean, it's a very important metaphor. And I'll tell you, as a leader, it all starts from the top. People are going to follow you. They're going to listen to you. And you always got to be putting the good, the clean, the powerful, the positive back into your mind. Fuel your mind, just like Sean needed to fuel his car and he wasn't. What happened when he ran out? He was calling his friends. He was desperate. He was panicking, but he kept doing it. And we keep doing it as well. And I've been there as well. I didn't fuel my mind enough with the right material and, watching something negative. So it's very important we fuel our mind with the right thing. Where do we start? Master Key System is the all-time. I was talking about this. I just was studying this and practicing this before. Master Key System is the all-time. I spent $5,000 on personal development material to find out that this was the all-time. Bill Gates dropped out of college to find this masterpiece right here. Sorry. See it on the Google Hangout there. I'm going to talk to the Google Hangout. A Periscope going as well. But Master Key System. I want to talk a little bit about the science of success philosophy and how this was, how this concept of this book, okay, by Napoleon Hill, it's called The Law of Success and the Philosophy is the Science of Success philosophy, came up with this question, determined the answer to this question: is success genetic? All right. So, first of all, there's two things that successful people always say. All right? There's two things successful people always say. You have to love what you do. All right? This is something you'll always hear from successful people. You have to love what you do, have passion for it, have enthusiasm for it, make it an enjoyable process. You got to love what you do. And then second, the elite will tell you that success is genetic. This is a really interesting, debatable topic. Fascinating. Is success genetic? Well, what happens if your genetic code is different from somebody who's having success? Let's say that you were raised on the wrong side of the tracks, or the tracks that weren't as prominent as the next guy. Does that mean that that's where you're going to end up? Are you prone for that? If your parents have blue eyes, are you going to get blue eyes? If your dad has blonde hair and your mom has brown hair, are you going to get one of those too? I mean, could you end up with red hair or black hair? I don't know. These are questions. Well, let's talk a little bit further about this. So let's say that we take 100 people with a net worth of $100 million and they're all vibrating at the same frequency, and your frequency is different. Is it possible that they raised their frequency to attain success, or are they born that way? So this had never really been, the answer to this question had never really been revealed publicly until 1928, all right? And there was a long lead up to this, all right? And I want to break down the story, all right? Because I think we learn best from stories, and I love stories, and this is probably one of my favorite stories of all time. So in 1908, a gentleman by the name of Napoleon Hill went and got a job for a magazine called Success Unlimited for a man called Bob Taylor. Bob Taylor was a governor, former governor at the time. He had a lot of connections and wealth, and Napoleon Hill was a struggling college student. He was going to Georgetown University to get his law degree. He wanted to become a writer. So he wanted to go and interview successful people for this magazine. That's going to be his job while he's in school, and he'd write stories about him. His first interview was this guy called Andrew Carnegie. And here we are 100 years later. It's 2015. My gosh. This meeting, okay, this is so profound. I want to just make this point, how profound this event was in turning history. All right. They say a lot of things about making history, but this is one of those things that was a paradigm. This created a paradigm shift by creating more millionaires than ever before. All right. This event. So this is important. More millionaires were ever created by this encounter, by the result of this encounter, than anything else in history. So in 1908, he goes and interviews this guy called Andrew Carnegie. And Andrew Carnegie's at the tail end of his career. He'd sold his company for $400 million to JP Morgan. He was a steel tycoon, and he was the richest man in the world on record. Now, a lot of people will say, oh, well, what about Rothschild and Rockefeller and these guys behind the scenes? Well, I mean, I can't really... You can't really go on record about all that. I'm not saying it's not there. It clearly is. But on record, a public transaction at the time, he sold his company for $400 million. And that's like proof on the record, right? On the record for the richest man in the world. Carnegie was that guy. So he's got this mission, and Carnegie had come over on a boat from Ireland with nothing. I mean, he was traveling on third class, and he came from nothing, And he realized that he was going somewhere, but he was going to have to leave it all. He couldn't keep his money with him. So he worked his way up from the very bottom all the way to the top through incremental changes, incremental growth. And Carnegie was determined to not only give all his wealth away, but he said in this meeting with Napoleon Hill, you may ask, Gavin, how do you know about this meeting? Well, much later in life, Napoleon Hill published a book called Think Your Way to Wealth. Okay, Think Your Way to Wealth was 1950s, well after Think and Grow Rich. Basically, it was a book on the shorthand interview he had with Carnegie. So a lot of people say, oh, did he really meet Carnegie? Was this all made up? Get Think Your Way to Wealth, and it will just blow your mind. Because Carnegie's wisdom is something unexplainable. It's undescribable. It's hard to put into words. The amount of wisdom the man has sitting there, imagining just Hill interviewing him, taking all this wisdom down in shorthand in a 3-day period. It was really just a 3-day period. He's taken all these notes down in shorthand. Carnegie had interviewed some 400 people for this job to go out and bring the first science of success philosophy to the world. Finally, he says to Hill, he says, hey, we've been sitting here 3 days and nights. Will you take this philosophy to the world, the first science of success philosophy to the world, pay your own way? It's going to take 20 years. I'll help with expenses in the beginning, or some travel expenses in the beginning, but you got to pay your own way. And it's going to take you 20 years. Will you take the job, yes or no? And he had a stopwatch there. He's timing him, and finally he clicks the watch, and